All right, so this presentation is by Christine Geske Stewart, and it's about special populations. The two special populations I chose, the first one is culturally different gifted, and then twice gifted exceptional students. So the first slide talks about who are culturally diverse gifted students. In order to identify these students, it actually takes a lot of time and training, but typically these students are those who have not grown up in our typical environments, two-parent households, mother, father, follow the mainstream norms such as white, middle class, or upper class. A lot of these students of this nature may exhibit a lot of the same traits and characteristics as the mainstream gifted students. But they also exhibit a lot of the traits that reflect they have a strong tie to their culture and their heritage. They are tied to their family traditions and they value those at the top of their priority list. And they have a very positive self-image. In order for a teacher to address the needs of the culturally diverse gifted students, one, teachers can affirm their identities, listen, appreciate who they are, really pay attention to where these students come from, and include a lot of their culture in the content that we teach so that we can provide a multicultural education so students feel valued and connected to the curriculum. We can offer them opportunities to speak, even if they're not jumping at the chance to speak in front of their peers. Give them opportunities where they can feel successful so that we can ease them into that. We can provide them with opportunities to see how their hard work is paid off. Put them in groups with people like-minded, similar backgrounds so that they can feel comfortable and confident, and then bring those successes to the attention of the class and how that's contributed to the class discussion or the curriculum or the education that the whole class is receiving. You also want to be able to provide these students with connections to people that are similar to them or they feel a positive connection like a counselor or an adult, as well as other students. And we also want to give them time to write about their experiences so that they can tell us in their own voice their experiences with their education, how their experiences in their past have influenced their education, and what they can contribute to the curriculum. A lot of the resources that I found said a lot of the same things, but specifically Sewell and Coyle focused in on the culturally diverse students. A summary for these students, for the culturally diverse gifted students, is that, again, training is incredibly important. Teachers should be able to begin the courses that they teach already identifying these students so that they can be prepared before they start teaching so that they can create lessons in a classroom that is motivating for those students, provides them with a path for success in the classroom, and have a good understanding and empathy that these groups of students feel a lot of times dismissed or undervalued. And so they may push back to kind of find their niche in the curriculum. The second group of special populations that I picked was the twice gifted exceptional student. These are students who are labeled as gifted, be it reading, math, or both, but also have a behavioral or learning disability. So they're kind of hit twice. A lot of parents don't really see this in their students. They don't see the lack of attention necessarily at home because they're not sitting in the classroom. Their students are at home with them, and the students are typically doing something either they enjoy or something they're used to doing or they're comfortable with, be it chores or playing video games or reading books or doing something that interests them. And a lot of times the twice gifted exceptional students are misdiagnosed as simply being ADHD because they may be bored with the curriculum, having to sit in a classroom for hours on end, focused, when they should be given the opportunities to step outside of the box, be creative, apply the content or curriculum to areas they're interested in. Ways that teachers can address the needs of twice gifted exceptional students. We can dig deeper into the data if we see those gifted students underperforming and maybe start talking with parents and seeing if maybe there's some consistency in why they underperform. Maybe teachers or parents or both are missing pieces to the puzzle, and that conversation between the two groups really can provide the teacher with a lot of information to help students in the classroom, and maybe provide parents with the information they need to kind of support their student at home. Teachers can chunk assignments or modify students to meet students' lack of attentiveness. Maybe get creative in providing alternate assessments or assignments that meet the needs of those students. Instead of giving them an assignment or assessment on paper or online, maybe giving them something where they can think outside the box. Maybe let them talk or argue their points to prove that they understand the content and they can apply it. Schools as a whole and districts can provide these students with alternate programs that meet their exceptionality, um, and maybe their feeling of being bored in the classroom, maybe accelerate their learning through AP programs or IB programs. Those seem to be fewer and far between schools. Providing students with a way they can accelerate their learning or apply their learning to areas that they're interested in. Maybe they're interested in rebuilding cars or getting involved in society, maybe internships and things like that. A summary for the twice gifted exceptional students. Again, twice gifted and exceptional students have more going on than just being gifted. They have some kind of other disability, and a lot of times that disability is what's focused on, not the gifted piece. So they're misdiagnosed, or we spend a lot of time focusing on their attention span or their hyperactivity when maybe we should create a lesson that captures their interest so they can be more engaged. It's hard for parents to see their child as gifted when so much time is focused on your child is misbehaving. They're not paying attention in class. They're shouting out. They're distracted. We tend to focus on the misbehavior and not the root cause of the misbehavior. And so these students really struggle on all ends of the spectrum. And so maybe we need to start looking at our lesson plans and the assignments and assessments we're providing them. Maybe we're not meeting them really where they need to be met. And then what do teachers really need to know for these gifted populations? One, we really need to get to know to our students. Just looking at our roster and listening to other teachers isn't enough. Maybe looking at our rosters prior to school starting or that course starting, finding out what's really, what these students really are about, looking at their academic history, and then talking to the kids, form relationships, get to know them. Let their interests become your interests. We can always find something that we have in common with somebody else, no matter how small, and then build upon that. And when we form those positive relationships, we have to understand it takes time. That's an investment. But what we get from that investment is far greater than we could possibly imagine. And we get a lot more students who are motivated to perform for us. They want to participate. They want to do well for us when they know we are genuinely interested in them. Getting other adults connected with them that maybe have some other connection that we may not have. Maybe they have a similar ethnic background or previous academic history that they can kind of connect with. Taking the time to create out of the box lesson plans and assignments that can meet those students where they're at, including them in the curriculum. Maybe, if we have a Hispanic American student, we can include them in the curriculum when a lot of times that content leaves them out or we don't focus on those groups enough. Giving them an opportunity to put their own stamp on their learning and share it with the class and showing the class how valuable that is to the content and their learning as well. And so really giving them a chance to feel included in the content and the curriculum. And then making sure that students, that content and that curriculum is relevant to them. What are they interested in and how can we tie that into what we're learning? Because if students don't see the content or the curriculum as relevant, then they don't really see the value in it. And so they don't perform as well as they possibly could. So gifted students and populations really take some time in getting to know those students, recognizing the behaviors that they really are interested in pieces. They're really intrigued with some of those finer details and how it fits into their own interests. They manipulate the content a little bit more, and they're a bit more creative with it. And so recognizing those traits and behaviors and stopping for a minute to say, okay, I need to meet their needs. Where are they at, and how can I meet them there?